Good morning, everyone. And the US stock market is taking off. There's no doubt about it. I think the next flavor of the month, because this is how the Wall Street spin masters work, I think the next flavor of the month is going to be, you'll start to see stories with these headlines. I guarantee it. Is this a new golden age for the United States? Once they get over their attachment to the Democrats and create their new attachments to the incoming administration, because that's what Wall Street does, regardless of which party is changing power. Let's go with the power and let's make as much money as we can is the Wall Street way of life. So that's what we're going to see in the next few weeks to a couple of months. Is this a new golden age for the United States? Because there is going to be positive tax reform for corporate America, and there are going to be various initiatives that are very pro-American business. And now, if you want a Nirvana economic story, I wonder if it's possible if, perhaps 10% tariffs on all Chinese goods is something the Chinese can live with, further tariffs, and that we might get a more balanced trade situation between China and the USA, and you might even see X allowed to operate in China, and therefore, again, you have a multiplier effect of a new golden age. Now, I've been warning, that things weren't right, and they weren't, but a lot is changing now, and it's changing fast. And it's the sentiment of the American people that matters. That's why I was bearish before, because consumer confidence was at depression levels. Small business confidence was at depression levels. Well, maybe consumer confidence was at recession. No, it was at depression levels. And I'm sort of a mass psychology economist. And I saw that, the US economy was grinding down. And it was actually, government spending really was boosting GDP, etc. And I think, sorry, this is some close lightning. I like to live dangerously. I think what we're going to see now, though, and we are seeing, of course, across all the economic data, is massive improvements in consumer confidence, small business confidence, and business confidence. And we're seeing more interest in mortgage applications, those sorts of things. So it is possible the US economy will take off. Now, so when we come back to the equity market is already overvalued, but is it overvalued on a sentiment basis if we're entering a new age for the US economy, a new golden age? Now, I'm not saying we are. I'm just saying that's going to be the big spin, the big story of the month, the flavor of the month, as I like to call it, going forward. Now, of course, none of this applies to the Australian equity market, and I noticed in the intraday price action to the futures in the New York trading session, the Australian market's beginning to detach and look soft, while the US market is very strong. Of course, my favorite trade, may I just mention, my favorite trade remains gold, and that's just working brilliantly for us. Gold against the US dollar and gold against the euro, both performing well, really like those. So I think, I'm digressing a little bit, but Trump's going to play hard now against Putin in terms of Russian sanctions, etc. It may not be the quick resolution that I and many others had hoped for regarding the Ukraine war. So that's why gold can continue to move higher, I would suggest. So coming back to the Australian equity market, there's no good news in any of this for the Australian equity market, and you just can't have the Australian market continuing to rally simply because the US market's rallying. If the US market is rallying for factors that aren't good for Australia, that's doesn't make any sense at all. Sorry about the shakes there, had a couple of coffees. That doesn't make any sense at all, and I think the Australian market, it's been around these levels for 4 months now. It really has been around these levels for 4 months. Might have popped its head up and made a new high at one stage, but sideways for 4 months, losing money for the last 3 years against inflation, price rises in the Australian stock market. It's not the strongest equity market that a whole lot of people try to tell you it is. And I'm not short the Australian market at the moment, but I'm not buying it either. I am long Dow and US 500. And NASDAQ, but I think the Australian market, I'm close to, pushing that bear sell button again. I really don't see anything positive for the Australian economy, domestically or externally at this stage. So I'd be very wary of Australian equities, and, maybe there's a cross trade there to be long US equities, short the Australian market. The US market, I'm going to stay bullish as long as it stays above the lows of last week. If ever it moves below the lows of last week, it means this whole new sentiment push, Trump rally, prospect of a new golden age. I'm the first person I've heard say that, by the way, so we'll see if it actually happens. I think all of that will have run its course and the market's exhausted if we move below the support of last week. While we hold above there, I think all of these new arguments have legs. I hope you have a good day and all the best. Thanks very much. Don't forget to check out PropX24 and cliffordbennett.com.au.